Well, hey guys, I'm here at Ulta. So I actually purchased their moisturizers recently because I'm trying some new products from them out, but I have always loved the Natural Moisturizing Factors Plus HA, and they now have a rich cream and like a more hydrating gel, but they're both really good options. The gel one is a better option if you have like oilier skin. This is interesting. It's not the rich formula. This is the older one, but this too is good. Trehalose, which is a humectant, and it also has sodium hyaluronate, hyaluronic acid. It has a nice thick barrier-like consistency. People love using this under their arms. I caution against doing that because glycolic acid can be pretty irritating under the arms. People pursue it as a deodorant, thinking that I guess the rationale is that the glycolic acid will help lower the pH ever so slightly and perhaps normalize the skin microbiome, the bacterial constitution there, and ultimately that in theory could help cut down on body odor, because it's the bacteria under your arms that leads to body odor. But glycolic acid is not really a deodorizing agent. Regardless, it can be pretty irritating in the underarm area because with the sweat and the moisture and the skin-on-skin contact, it really drives the penetration of the glycolic acid into the skin and can lead to a lot of irritation that ultimately leads to hyperpigmentation, which, as a side note, is another reason why a lot of people are using the glycolic acid toning solution in that regard. I've seen some people using this too on the feet and claiming that it works well. You know, the thing about glycolic acid, what this is 7%, you might look at that and be like, well, 7%, how strong is that? It's hard to tell because it boils down to the formula overall, and that influences the free acid value. So all that to say, it's hard to predict how kind of quote-unquote intense of an exfoliant it's going to be just from the percentage. But I do see a lot of people putting this on the soles of their feet for callus. I imagine that definitely is helpful because glycolic acid is keratolytic. I tend to gravitate towards ointments. Ointments have better penetration usually of the active ingredients, and they're much better for targeting callus than a liquid would be. So I'm currently using this off and on, and I really love it. It's the Bumble & Bumble Hairdresser's Invisible Oil Heat UV Protective Primer. The UV rays from the sun, they actually contribute to weathering of your hair strands, and it's particularly an issue if you have blonde hair, but any hair type can be affected. It basically weakens the proteins in your hair and leaves it more vulnerable to damage and weathering. And if you have blonde hair, it can yellow your hair, the UV rays. So this product has a UV filter in it that will help cut down on that. But the other advantage of that is that if you color treat your hair, that UV protectant will help prolong your color treatment. UV rays are a major reason for fading of your color treatment. And it also is a heat protectant. Now, heat protectants work because the ingredients kind of coat the hair and slow down the heating process. So that can minimize heat damage. It has coconut oil, argan oil, grapeseed oil, sweet almond oil, safflower seed oil, and macadamia oil, all of which lubricate the hair and contribute to gloss and shine. So a major mistake people make when it comes to heat styling their hair is allowing the heat to come in contact with your hair if it's wet. You know, to a certain extent, the hair is going to be damp. You're blow drying your hair. It's going to be damp to a certain extent. Try and get as much water out as possible, because if there's too much water, what will happen is as you are heat styling the hair, it steams, and you can get something called bubble hair, which is a kind of aggressive type of hair damage. Check out my video on extreme hair damage. I go into the details about bubble hair at length in that video. The other day I was in CVS and I saw that Pixi has come out with an SPF 50 sunscreen spray that is water resistant and fragrance free. I don't use sprays, they have limitations. I know a lot of people like to use sunscreen sprays to set their makeup. I don't recommend spraying them directly on your face. You're supposed to spray them into your hand and then rub them on your face. But all that to say, I saw that there. It doesn't appear to be here at Ulta yet, but that was intriguing. And I also saw that they have a cleansing oil at CVS drugstore by Pixi, and I'm not seeing that here either. But Pixi has some new cleansers. They have a Glow Tonic cleansing gel. I love a cleansing gel. This does have fragrance in it, which is not as much of an issue in stuff that you wash off unless you're allergic. Panthenol is very good for the skin. It's hydrating and it helps with skin elasticity. Horse chestnut extract may be anti-inflammatory. Horse chestnut as a dietary supplement, you know, you have to be careful with dietary supplements, but oddly enough, horse chestnut as a dietary supplement has been shown to be helpful for lower leg veins and leg swelling. Rose cream cleanser. Now, rose is really popular in things, but it's mostly just a fragrance. It may have some antioxidant compounds. Diatomaceous earth can have an astringent property. This clarity cleanser looks intriguing with salicylic acid. They don't disclose the percentage of salicylic acid. Salicylic acid is good for acne. It's also good for hyperpigmentation, and it's good if you have seborrheic dermatitis. It has lactic acid, which is also going to be helpful for exfoliating, along with glycolic acid. So those ingredients together can help with gently clearing post-acne dark marks, and then the salicylic acid can help with imparting some acne control. Bergamot fruit extract can be irritating, especially in the sun, because of compounds called furocoumarins. Presumably those have been removed though. This has willow bark extract, which is anti-inflammatory. Not the same as salicylic acid though. Oh, there's salicylic acid hidden there next to ascorbic acid, which is vitamin C. Probably helps stabilize the ingredients. This product, Pixi Carolyn Hirons Double Cleanse, is really good. I like it. It's got a cleansing balm on one side and a cleansing cream on the other, and you can use them back to back to remove makeup gently. What's the peel and polish? I don't think I've ever seen this before. Lactic acid and papaya. Papaya fruit can help with exfoliating, but it's not very precise and can be irritating. Same thing with like fruit extracts and citrus extracts. This has lactic acid. That's good for keratosis pilaris, the rough and bumpy skin on the face. But speaking of lactic acid for keratosis pilaris, I highly recommend the Ordinary's lactic acid. It's very good, but I wanted to mention that because recently I started using Sunday Riley's Good Genes, and I have to say this is very much overhyped, although it is an effective product, I will say. Now that I've been trying it out, I can say that for sure. So lactic acid is good for rough and bumpy skin. It's also good for improving hyperpigmentation, smoothing the skin surface. If you have mature skin, lactic acid can help with skin cell turnover, which tends to get a little slow with age, and that leads to dull skin. This has lemongrass in it, and you can definitely smell that. One of the other things about this is that it has arnica in it. The funny thing about arnica, it's mostly anecdotal, the benefits of arnica, and you definitely can develop allergy or problems with it. What's in the autocorrect? Autocorrect claims to be a brightening and depuffing eye contour cream. A lot of these types of products have caffeine in them, which can temporarily constrict the blood vessels around the under eye area, and that can have a brightening effect. But if you have hereditary dark under eye circles, these types of products are not really going to do much for you, because a lot of times that's just, if it's pigment, it's part of your natural pigment. It's like an extension of pigmentary demarcation lines, or it could be related to just the anatomy of your eye socket. You have more prominent under eye hollows. I hold the seemingly unpopular opinion, however, that dark under eye circles are attractive. Like, I think they are super attractive. And I think that not only should we normalize them, but we should glamorize them, because I just think that they, I don't know, who wants bright eyes? Who wants bright eyes? Bright eyes is just like somebody who is like bright-eyed and bushy-tailed first thing in the morning and super annoying before you've had your coffee, whereas somebody with dark under eye circles, they're like someone who puts a lot of time and thought into things, and they've been up all night, like, I don't know, writing a poem or something. But if you have dark under eye circles, you should rock them. Peter Thomas Roth has some good stuff, I will say. I reviewed this and I compared it to an under eye bag treatment from It Cosmetics. Now this it worked, but it's just like a temporary illusion. The ingredient in this is the silicates, sodium silicate. It basically shrinks, and as it shrinks, it pulls the under eye bag tight. But a lot of you guys have commented that this is like super flaky under your eyes. I have used it enough for the purposes of being able to review it, and that never happened for me, the flakiness. I always found that this is actually pretty easy to use, and it is effective. Like, it gets the job done. It's not like an actual permanent change, but it gets the job done. And I never got any peeling or flaking, but it does come with instructions on how to minimize that effect. They claim that you can use it with like put on a makeup brush. Maybe it's just my skin texture under my eyes is not as, I don't know, oily, who knows. The Thomas Roth Water Drenched Hyaluronic Acid Cloud Cream is really good. I want to try the body one, and I imagine, just between you and me and the lamppost, I imagine that you could just use this on the face. It's got shea butter and it has hyaluronic acid, but for $40, I don't know, that seems pretty steep, especially when Neutrogena has that Hydro Boost body lotion, fragrance free, for so much less. You have a hard time convincing me to drop $40 on this when you have the Neutrogena Hydro Boost one, but I would be interested in giving it a try sometime. Now, I have tried this, and it's actually pretty good. This water drench, it's not as shiny. It is water resistant. It does not burn around the eyes. It has ceramide in it, which is good for the skin barrier. Yeah, I actually really like this. I ended up buying this and trying it out last summer, and I don't think I ever reported back, but it's good. I love these little mini sets because that way you get a sense of if you're going to like the product enough before committing to the large size. What do you get in this little mini one? You get a mini serum, you get the cloud cream, and then you get, what is that, an eye cream? Peach & Lily's Glass Skin Refining Serum. I have tried this out myself. It's okay. I don't think it's worth the hype though. I mean, it's not bad. It has beta-glucan, which is very hydrating. It has niacinamide, which is good for diminishing the appearance of pores, helping with the moisture barrier, hyperpigmentation, and redness. It has hyaluronic acid, which is going to be hydrating, adenosine, anti-inflammatory. It has madecassoside, which comes from centella and is anti-inflammatory and helpful for healing. It has phytic acid, which actually can help gently exfoliate and is an antioxidant. And it has octapeptide 3, which in my experience is mostly hydrating. This is not a bad product, but like I didn't think it was that magical, to be honest. The Glass Skin Refining Serum. The Matcha Pudding Antioxidant Cream I tried a while ago too, and I have to tell you, like, matcha tea, green tea, has a lot of polyphenols that have been shown to be helpful for combating oxidative stress related to UV exposure, and presumably you could extend that onto the negative consequences of other environmental stressors like pollution. But it is a challenging ingredient family to formulate into products. My favorite, as a side note, green tea based product is the Innisfree green tea toner is one of my favorite green tea based products. But this had a very strong, not strong, but it had a noticeable scent to it that I did not care for. If you're new here, I don't like fragrance in skincare. It's a common allergen in skincare products, and it can be irritating, and I just don't like, especially like moisturizers or sunscreens, things that are going to have a lasting aroma. I found this to be a little on the greasy side personally, but overall it wasn't too bad. It has dipotassium glycyrrhizate, which comes from licorice root and is helpful for redness and hyperpigmentation. I much prefer peach slices to Peach & Lily. They're under the same umbrella, owned by the same company or whatever, but I find I like a lot of the peach slices products. Very few of the Peach & Lily products speak to me. I haven't tried this Lazy Day all-in-one moisture pads. That's interesting. Moisturizer on a pad. This is really hard to read, the white on the bright pink. This has bergamot fruit oil in it. That's that essential oil that can have photosensitizing compounds in it, which cause problems when you go out in the sun, although presumably those have been removed in a cosmetic product. Carrot root extract, cabbage leaf extract, peach fruit extract. It does have ceramide, which is good for the skin barrier, but I'm not seeing much else. Sodium hyaluronate, glycerin, I don't know. Looks like First Aid Beauty has come out with some new products I have not seen. Repackaged their KP Smoothing Body Lotion. They have had this for a while now. Alpha hydroxy acids are good for rough and bumpy skin. So lactic acid, that's good for keratosis pilaris, and urea. Check out my recent video on skincare products for smooth skin on the body. We talk about alpha hydroxy acids. This is pretty good overall. What was I gonna say about this brand? Ever since they did that weird thing where I got a sunscreen from them and it was like very gritty and clearly not formulated right, I've been a little side-eye-esque of First Aid Beauty, but some of their products are actually really good. So this has licorice root and ceramides and colloidal oatmeal and allantoin. So it really is formulated with the needs of KP in mind. This has very hydrating ingredients. It has very good barrier supporting ingredients, underscoring the fact that KP is a dry skin condition. But then the acid is to address the dry, rough bumps. This looks new, the 10% vitamin C brightening serum. 3-O-ethyl ascorbic acid. That's a stable form of vitamin C. So it may be easier to formulate into a product than ascorbic acid, but it's not research backed for doing all of the things that you want in a vitamin C. This also has licorice root and tea extract. So those are going to give you anti-inflammatory effects and polyphenols. Colloidal oatmeal. What is this? Bounce boosting serum. This is new. Collagen plus peptides. Collagen in skincare products is a humectant, helpful for hydrating the skin. This has ceramides, which are good for the skin barrier, licorice root, and bakuchiol, an antioxidant. At least they're not trying to make the claim that this is like a retinol alternative, which drives me berserk when I see on bakuchiol products. This bakuchiol is an ingredient that could really, you know, probably shine on its own if people will try and stop making it something it's not. This is a hydrating serum with hyaluronic acid, 24-hour hydration. Claims licorice root, again, that's good for redness. Panthenol is hydrating. What's this new facial radiance niacinamide dark spot serum? It doesn't tell you the percentage of niacinamide on here, but yeah, that is good for hyperpigmentation. I don't know about kiwi fruit extract, but anyway, that's there. Niacinamide definitely can help with hyperpigmentation as well as acne. I have this hairbrush and I have to say it has held up well. I really like it. Lemon Drop. Yeah, specifically it was this Ultra Repair face moisturizer with sunscreen, I want to say. I actually kind of liked the sunscreen, but it started like getting really gritty, which I found very bizarre. Or was it this one? I can't remember. It was a tinted one. Very strange. They have quite a few things from e.l.f. here. I have to say, I have been using the Holy Hydration Makeup Melting Balm, and I rather like it. It does have fragrance in it, but the scent is quite mild, and I don't mind fragrance and rinse off things. Less of an issue unless you're allergic. I've really been liking this. $11, not too bad. I got mine on the Amazonian, but you can get it here. I see they have some new sunscreens. Let me know in the comments if you have tried these. I have not. They have one that's SPF 35 and water resistant. It says invisible. It's an organic sunscreen, aka chemical, so that probably checks out. And no fragrance. That's exciting. Okay, and then they have this Sunbeam, which is an organic sunscreen with iron oxides. So it's going to be tinted, $14. SPF 30, sun protection plus makeup primer. This one's not water resistant, but the iron oxides may help offer you some protection against visible light, which comes from the sun, and contributes to hyperpigmentation. Now they have a SPF 45 sun protection plus setting spray. The problem with sprays is technically you're not supposed to spray them directly on your face because you could inhale them or they can be irritating to the mucous membranes around your eyes and in your nose. And a lot of people do it anyway and they hold their breath, but you're still not supposed to. And then you're supposed to actually rub it in. This one doesn't tell you to do any of that, but the reason it doesn't is they're not required to really tell you to do any of that. So it doesn't necessarily mean that this is going to give you a good layer, but I will say this is better in my opinion than like telling people to use a sunscreen stick to reapply over makeup. I think that that is just complete BS, because if you ever try rubbing a sunscreen stick over your makeup, it's going to smear it all over the place and break up the makeup, and it's like, sticks you have to do multiple passes, and so to me the stick is just not an option. I'm not a fan of the sprays though, because you really do need to spray them in your hand and rub them on. And the powders are not actually like a true layer of sunscreen. They're just dusting on. They're a great option for like mattifying, but it's not a true reapplication. So as it stands, sprays are kind of the best option. You can spray it in your hand and pat it on. I think that's probably less likely. You know, pat and gently rub. But just spraying it on, it's not clear that that actually is doing anything. It's just hard to say, because sprays are not really critiqued the same way, if you will, as like lotions and creams. Sunscreen testing, none of it is done with makeup. So we're really just guessing when we tell people about reapplying over makeup. My tip is to, if you're gonna wear a full face of makeup, is to just start with a really good high SPF base layer. Do your best to avoid the sun for the majority of the day. I think that is more reasonable. If you're gonna wear a full face of makeup, with, especially if you're wearing like high coverage foundation and you are wearing highlight, contour, all of that stuff, like I just think your likelihood of reapplying over all of that and not messing it up with any method is questionable. So I say in those situations, start with a good base layer underneath all the makeup and just hope that you're not out in the sun too much. Now, if you are gonna have to be out in the sun, write in other things. Get an umbrella, go in the shade. I came over here because I've been eyeing this Revolution brand for some time. They have quite a few things. So they have a matte fix oil control fixing spray. What is in this? Alcohol denaturant and propylene glycol. Those can be kind of drying. Horse chestnut can be anti-inflammatory. Castor oil is an emollient, but some people develop allergies to it. Blur Stick Bright Face Primer. I feel like a stick as a primer, I don't know. That seems like a little bit too much work for what you really need. I mean, primer is kind of like a stickier moisturizer in a sense. Why go through the hassle of the sticks? What are these skin tints? Super dewy. This is just like a tinted facial moisturizer. No sunscreen there. Yeah, here's the Ordinary's lactic acid plus HA. This is a really good option if you have rough and bumpy skin on the face. It's a pretty no-nonsense, mild exfoliant that can help with maintaining hydration in the skin. All right, guys, that about wraps it up. There were some good finds today here in Ulta. I hope you enjoyed this. On the inside, I'm going to put my recent Shop With Me video where we go through the skincare at CVS. There are a lot of new drugstore skincare finds, so definitely check that video out next. But if you like this one, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and as always, don't forget, sunscreen and subscribe. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye.